be. For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So today, I wanted to come with a react video. I got a message from one of my guys in my DM, Derek B. And we always talk back and forth, and love chopping it up with Derek B. And at times, he's a voice of reason. He always plays devil's advocate, and I love that, because what I want to also encourage, because he said something in this comment that rubbed me the wrong way, because I don't ever want anyone to feel uncomfortable in the setting that we've created because they don't agree with everyone. Groupthink and mob mentality isn't always the best. So if you feel different about something and you want your voice to be heard, please, by all means. Just because I don't necessarily agree with you, or everyone else may not agree with you, and, you know, there's this whole notion, and I can't stand when people who want to be positive all the time, get upset. Well, where's this negativity coming from? And you guys are always negative. No, sometimes the truth hurts, and it needs to be spoken. And a lot of times people try to circumvent the truth, and they want to hear what they want to hear. And that's not what I'm about. And I don't want you guys to feel like you have to kind of kowtow to what's going on the channel, or the emotion of the viewers or the fans and what we're talking about and how excited we're getting. If you don't agree, if you don't think this is an 11-win season, you think it's 7, say that. Like, don't be afraid to say how you feel. With that said, I want to read to you what Derek B sent me. And this is what's pretty much sparked this conversation that we're going to have today. So he writes, did you know that Kirk Cousins' first 17 starts, he went 28 touchdowns, 28 interceptions with 2 lost fumbles? Do you really think that Sam Howell's lack of NFL quarterback experience isn't significant to his and the team's success this season? Somehow he is going to skip all of the bumps and bruises that every young quarterback has to go through and lead us on a playoff run in year 1. Even if Sam becomes top half of the league quarterback, it won't be year 1. It's not disrespect. It's just common sense and knowing history. I didn't want to put this in a super and be a downer, but I know that you know that we're in for a crazy roller coaster ride. The best case scenario for 2023 is that Sam is able to keep Ron from going to Brissett mid-season. He continues, Ron went 6-10 with Cam Newton in year 1. It seemed like Cam was ripping up the NFL, but he still went for 21 passing touchdowns, 14 rushing touchdowns, and 17 interceptions. There's not a single quarterback on the schedule with less NFL experience than Sam, not even Desmond Ridder. Sam doesn't even know what he doesn't know. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills with how reckless fans are talking. Then he continues, Kurt Warner, Russell Wilson, and Tony Romo are the guys that I'm looking for. First-year rookie quarterbacks that were able to take losing teams to the playoffs in their first year as starters. So there is hope, but there are also 3 of the most improbable stories in NFL history. Warner was 28 or 29 years old, so he doesn't really count. He says non-playoff teams, So he's talking about taking teams that hadn't been to the playoffs the previous year and turning them into playoffs teams in that quarterback's first year as the starter. He says Robert Griffin III in 2012, of course, but I was looking for non-top 10 guys. He's looking for players outside of the top 10, outside of the first round, guys that were not supposed to be the saviors of their particular NFL franchises. So that's why he brought up Kurt Warner, who was undrafted, was playing in the Arena League and then also in NFL Europe. He's talking about Tony Romo, who was undrafted out of Eastern Illinois, who ended up being the savior. And a lot of people forget about how bad Dallas truly was in those days at the quarterback position before Tony Romo stepped in and kind of stabilized that position for them and they really haven't looked back since. And then he also brings up Russell Wilson, who was a 3rd-round pick. So again, kind of going with the theme of someone that you're not really truly expecting to be the savior or the face of the franchise, who comes out of nowhere, kind of takes over. And he also left out Tom Brady, but Brady wasn't the starter the entire year. Obviously he comes in due to an injury to Drew Bledsoe. The rest is history. But you could have thrown Tom Brady in there as well as a 6th-round pick. But again, he was not the starter going into the season. So, and I'm not sure if Romo was the starter either. I'm not sure if Romo didn't take over early on in that season for Vinny Testaverde. I think that's who he ultimately came in for. I vividly remember Romo coming in and taking over at halftime, I want to say, of a Thanksgiving game. I want to say it was a Thanksgiving game in 2003, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't even think Romo started the entire year himself, but that's nor here nor there. Maybe the following year, Romo was able to be the starter and, lead the team to the playoffs. But whatever the case may be, he says, but I digress, with the laughing emoji. Still, we are due for another miracle season. You see me trying to talk myself into this? So I want to thank my guy Derek B for the comment. And like I said, we always go back and forth. And he usually plays devil's advocate, and he's doing it again here. And he's not wrong. And this is the thing. And a lot of people are pointing to Sam Howell and dismissing us this year, and we're going to be one of the worst teams in football. Why? Because of Sam Howell. It's not because of the entire roster. It's because they don't believe in Sam Howell as a starting quarterback in the NFL. That is why teams, or rather why people, pundits, talking heads, are dismissing Washington altogether. When you see list of the worst 5 teams going into football, when you see power ranking lists and we're 30th, when you see way too early mock drafts and we're picking in the top 5, it's not because of Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Chase Young, Montez Sweat. It's not because of those guys. It's not because of Jonathan Allen or Daron Payne. It's because of the quarterback position, particularly Sam Howell. Because people don't believe that he's going to come in and change the fortunes of this franchise so soon with no experience, essentially. 1 game under his belt as a starter. All of that is fair, which is why I'm not getting bent out of shape anymore. I'm more on the side of, hey, let's just wait and see. I'm going with the Rivera mode of reacting to everything, which is I'm going to just play it cool. And I'm going to just sit back and let everything happen. I see everything. I take everything in. But I get it. That's human nature. When you don't know, then it's easy to dismiss. I've said that as humans, we're creatures of habit. And we're also very, very scared of the unknown, right? We're afraid of the unknown. So no one's going to go out on a limb for Washington because they don't know Sam Howell as a starting quarterback in the NFL. All right. And when you look at him being a 5th-round pick, it's easy to say, oh, he's a 5th-round pick. The league spoke. He's a 5th-round pick. So we know what to expect from him. 5th-rounders don't make it in this league at the quarterback position. It just doesn't happen very often. 4th-rounders don't make it very often in this league. 3rd-rounders don't make it very often in this league. Hell, 2nd-rounders don't make it very often in this league as starting quarterbacks. We've gone through this exercise before. When you look at the starting quarterbacks around the league, most of them are former 1st-round picks. There's the exception to the rule where you get a guy like Derek Carr, who's a 2nd-round pick for many years. Andy Dalton was a 2nd-round pick. But again, you've got Russell Wilson, you've got Kirk Cousins. We've been through this exercise. There aren't many of them, okay? Most of the quarterbacks that will be starting week 1 for their respective NFL teams are 1st-round picks. Jalen Hurts, another guy that is defying the odds right now as a 2nd-round pick. There aren't many of those guys. Brock Purdy, if he ultimately, is the 49ers starter when he gets healthy, he will be the latest in what is not a very long line of quarterbacks to defy the odds as a guy that wasn't selected in the first round. And hell, we're talking about a day 3 potential starting quarterback. That's what you're looking at in Sam Howell and potentially Brock Purdy. There aren't many of those starting day 3 guys. Okay. Most of the quarterbacks that are starting that aren't first round picks are still day 2 guys. Russell Wilson and I think Kirk was the 3rd round pick. I always get confused whether he was a 3rd or a 4th round pick. I believe Kirk Cousins was a 4th round pick. He might have been a 3rd round pick, but Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, and Jalen Hurts, right? Those guys are all day 2 picks. We're talking about a day 3 pick in Sam Howell. So yes, it's tough for people to make the connection and say that this guy it's a stretch. Even when people try to give us the benefit of the doubt, we get backhanded compliments. They can't just come out and say, because they got to cover their ass, right? They don't want to look like a fool for going out on a limb for Sam Howell and saying that they think he can be a really good quarterback. I bet you if he turns out to be good, a lot of people will try to go back to their evaluation of him and say, hey, if this guy had been in a different draft, then they're going to try to pile on and act as if they were always on board. But right now, the easy thing to do is just to dismiss him and say, yeah, they're going to stink again. And look, history is not on our side, but history is never on the side of teams who don't have a first round quarterback. Doesn't mean that you can't still defy the odds. The 49ers, up until they got Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't a first round pick. Brock Purdy's not a first round pick. And they feel really good. They've been in the NFC championship game, 2 out of the last 4 years with non-first round quarterbacks? So it can be done. Again, we've built the team. And what's important when you're going to have a non-first round quarterback is you got to have the infrastructure. You've got to have the roster already built and ready. You mentioned Cam Newton. That was a bad Panthers football team. When he got there, that was a 3-13, 4-12 Panthers team the year prior. They were a bad football team. Using the Cam Newton scenario isn't apples to apples here, because that would be like Sam taking over after 2019 and being the starter in 2020, sort of like Dwayne Haskins in 2020. That's what would be the equivalent of what Cam Newton did in his rookie season, which he did rip up the NFL. Yeah, he turned it over a bunch of times, but you just told me he accounted for 35 touchdowns, 21 passing, and 14 rushing. That's a lot of damn production, right? And yeah, they only won 6 games, but they were horrible the year before. We were an 8-1 team last season. We're a quality roster. Sam isn't going to have to come in here and be Superman. Just like Russell Wilson was in a situation that was already built and ready to go. I've already laid out the scenario why I think Sam can be successful, because we've done it the way that other teams have done it that have been in this position. You build up the infrastructure and the foundation of your roster, and then you drop the quarterback in the middle. We've done that. That's exactly what we've done. This team is ready to win now. They just need a guy to come in here and not regurgitate all over himself. Is Sam going to make mistakes? You damn right. The throw he made against Dallas in week 18, where he threw the interception in the end zone, that was as awful a decision and throw as you can make. Those are going to happen. Okay? Just for those of you out there that think it's going to be all roses and sunny days, it's not. There are going to be some rainy days. Spend a lifetime trying to wash away. It's going to be a couple of those games. We got Sam threw the damn game away today. Sam made a bonehead decision here, and it cost us. There are going to be games like that. But you know what? Also, there are going to be games we say, we wouldn't have won that game last year with Taylor Heineke or Carson Wentz. Wouldn't have won that game 2 years ago. Wouldn't have won that game 3 years ago. That was all Sam Howell right there. There's going to be some of those as well. And you take the ups and the downs, but what we're hoping is that there are more ups than there are downs, and that the collection of talent that we've assembled is enough to overcome some of the faults that we're going to have to take, the pitfalls that will come with Sam Howell. You're hoping that, yeah, Sam made a mistake here, but guess what? The defense was able to pick him up, force a field goal attempt after Sam had a bad decision or Sam got hit and fumbled the football. Right? That's where the team aspect comes into play. We're not asking Sam to come in here and be super Sam and be 33 touchdowns over 10 interceptions. That's not what we're looking for. We take that. Definitely would take that. But that's not what we need. We just need Sam to come in here and stabilize a position that has been as unstable as it gets in the NFL. And I think he's fully capable of doing that. He's played enough football. That's the thing that I don't think you're taking into consideration. When a lot of these young quarterbacks come in the league and they struggle, they haven't played a ton of football. Sam's played a lot of football. He started as a true freshman at UNC. He played 3 years at Chapel Hill. He came in here, and I honestly believe, and a lot of people have said, he should have played last year after Carson Wentz got injured and broke his hand. And I think that's hindsight. Hindsight's always 2020. It's easy to say that. We weren't saying that last year when Taylor Heineke came in. Some of you probably were like, I was saying that shit. I didn't want to see Heineke. I knew where that, road led to, and I didn't want to go down that road. I knew that was a dead end. I wanted to see what Sam Howell could do. Sam might not have been totally ready yet. I feel like if we would have put him in last year in that situation, we would have seen Sam struggle a lot more than we would have liked to. And I think that would have led us to do something drastic this season, in the offseason rather, in the draft potentially. Because they waited, he got more experience. He got to learn and grow and develop even more. I think that's the byproduct that you saw in week 18. Far from a finished product, but enough promise that you felt comfortable going into the next season with him as your starting quarterback. Had he started after that Bears game and he came in and it was 7 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, he's not your starting quarterback going into 2023. And I'm not saying that's what would have happened, but that was potentially what could have happened if he wasn't ready. So who's to say if he was ready or not? I prefer the way that they went about it. Even though they kind of stumbled into it because they were going to start Heineke like some dum-dums in week 18 till Heineke told them, nah, let Sam have it. But however we got to this point, we're here now, and I'm anxious to see how it goes. And I believe in Sam Howell. But more importantly, not just believing in Sam, because you guys know how I feel about Sam Howell. Not only do I believe in Sam Howell, I believe in the roster that has been built here. And that, for that reason, goes a long way. I believe we have a winning formula potentially here in Washington because of the roster that has been built, because of the talent that's surrounding Sam, because we feel like he's going to be better coached this year with, having different guys shuffled around, but most importantly, Eric Bieniemy coming on board. I like where we are. I like that Jack Del Rio has continuity with the defense. They know what to expect. I like that the defensive line now has a voice that they can believe in Jeff Skanina. I like that everything's starting to come together. Now you drop the quarterback in the middle, and let's see what happens. Is he the right one? We'll find out. He may not be, and you may be right. But I think you're wrong on this one, and I think Sam is the man for the job. But again, only time will tell. So thank you for that, Derek B. And again, I don't want anybody to feel like it's not okay to go against the grain. I'm not looking for groupthink or mob mentality, even though we are the mob. We are the MOBB. And I do love mob mentality. But I don't have a problem with somebody going against the grain and saying, I don't agree with that. We can have a discussion. That's what this is supposed to be about. Last thing I wanted to mention before we get out of here, Emmanuel Forbes already making plays. I get it. It's mini camp. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. You really want to see a guy come in and immediately show you why you spent a first round pick on him. And he's already doing that at minicamp. He had a pick in his or second day rather, of rookie minis. I get it. The level of quarterbacking out there isn't very good. I'm fully aware. And so don't go crazy with that information. But at the end of the day, I don't care. I've always told you, I don't care what the level of competition is. Your job isn't to decipher who's doing this or who's doing that. Your job is to dominate. They put lesser competition out there, fine, dominate it. They put upper echelon competition, show why you're just as good, if not better than that person. So if they're putting some inferior quarterbacks out there and they're putting some garbage receivers out there versus you, eat them up. Yum, yum, eat them up. Yum, yum, eat them up. And that's exactly what he's doing. So I love it when you do something because this is what you're expecting and you get exactly what you expect. That's a great feeling. When you purchase an album because you expect heat, because the first two singles that you heard were absolutely fire, and then you buy the album and it's fire, it's more of the same, that's a great feeling. You know what doesn't feel good? Is when you heard the two singles, you got excited, you buy the album, and the album sucks. And those are the only two songs that are any good, which is why the label put those two songs out. Yeah, that sucks. You're not getting your, $10.99 back. Let's hope that they spent their first round pick on a ball hawking, playmaking cornerback, and that's exactly what we're getting. Seems like it right now, but again, too early to tell. But boy, I love to hear things like that coming out of minis. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the Command Post. You know what it is. Post up, take command. I'll be back next week. There's a lot of things going on with the sale of this team, man. We're going to talk about that. I'm not worried at all, one bit. It's going to happen, but I told you guys this already, right? We've discussed this. Dan's not going down without a fight. He's going down kicking and screaming. You had to know. He's like, I got you by the balls now. You want me out of here. Well, if you want me out of here, you're going to have to acquiesce to the things that I want. And if you're not, then I'm going to make this process living hell for you. That's what we're going through right now. But we'll have more on that next week as more things come to light. But we see where this is going. All right. Anyway, I digress. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Take care.
LouieTeeNetwork.